The book of Job has 42 chapters, so it is one of the major books of the Bible. The first 2 chapters set the scene. Job, a godly and righteous man, a very rich man. Suddenly his possessions are destroyed. His servants are destroyed. His family is destroyed. His health is destroyed. And he is sitting in the ash heap in great agony, covered in boils from head to toe. Because he was so powerful, everyone knew of Job, and the news spread quickly what had happened to Job. And 3 great men from other places come to him and are shocked when they see the state that Job is in. And they sit with him for 7 days, with their robes torn, in silence. The next 30 chapters then are a dialogue between Job and his 3 friends, as they wrestle with who's at fault here. Surely Job has done something wrong, but Job has not done anything wrong. And then another young man who witnesses all of this presents his case. And finally, God speaks. The issue of suffering on the earth is a major issue, and that's why we have this presentation, which is so large. It's not a trivial matter, but it takes effort on our part to grasp the arguments that are being put. And I trust that you'll bear with me as we listen to what these very wise men say, and as we seek to understand, because we also will experience inexplicable suffering in our lives. Some of it is explicable, some of it is our fault. But the more righteous we are, the less it will be our fault, except that it is a consequence of our righteousness. After sitting in silence for 7 days, Job feels he must speak, and he speaks by cursing the day of his birth, because by being born, he has been born into this world of suffering. When a child is born, we think, what blessing will come, what hopes, what great things will this person achieve. Well, Job had achieved great things, and it had all been taken away from him. So what was the point? May the day perish on which I was born, and the night in which it was said, a male child is conceived. May that day be darkness. May God above not seek it, nor the light shine upon it. May darkness and the shadow of death claim it. May a cloud settle on it. May the darkness of the day terrify it. As for that night, may darkness seize it. May it not rejoice among the days of the year. May it not come into the number of the months. Oh, may that night be barren. May no joyful shout come into it. May those curse it who curse the day, those who are ready to arouse Leviathan. May the stars of its morning be dark. May it look for light but have none, and not see the dawning of the day, because it did not shut up the doors of my mother's womb, nor hide sorrow from my eyes. Why did I not die at birth? Why did I not perish when I came from the womb? Why did the Neves receive me, or why the breasts that I should nurse? For now I would have lain still and been quiet. I would have been asleep, then I would have been at rest, with kings and counsellors of the earth, who built ruins for themselves, or with princes who have gold, who fill their houses with silver. Or why was I not hidden like a stillborn child, like infants who never saw light? There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary are at rest. There the prisoners rest together. They do not hear the voice of the oppressor. The small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master. Why is light given to him who is in misery, and life to the bitter of soul, who long for death, but it does not come, and search for it more than hidden treasures, who rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they can find the grave? Why is light given to a man whose way is hidden, and whom God has hedged in? For my sighing comes before I eat, and my groanings pour out like water. For the thing I greatly feared has come upon me, and what I dreaded has happened to me. I am not at ease, nor am I quiet. I have no rest, for trouble comes. May the Lord bless these words to us as we review some of the questions raised by suffering. He begins by bringing a curse upon the day of his birth, because by being born and coming into this world, he experiences so much sorrow and grief. He has had to work hard all his whole life, and he has eschewed evil, he's feared evil, he's done all he could to avoid trouble in his life, and it has come upon him in any case. His life has been a failure. Why has he worked so hard to avoid trouble when it comes upon him like this in any case? He mentions here Leviathan. In the days of Abraham and Job, there were still on the earth and in the seas the great creatures that today belong in the class we call dinosaurs. Dinosaur is a modern word. It's only 100 years old. The ancient word is dragon for these fearsome land creatures, Leviathan for the great sea serpents. The legends of these things are in many cultures. Australian Aboriginal culture, the Loch Ness Monster. We have distant memories of these things, but they were reality in Job's time, these mighty creatures that were to be feared. And if you aroused Leviathan, you were in trouble, because he was much stronger than you. So after saying, may that day be cursed, may there be no joy or celebration at my life, because this sorrow is so bad. He then goes on with a series of why questions. Why didn't I die at birth? Why was I preserved? Why have I lived so long just for it all to end in this miserable sorrow state? And as he thinks about death, he realizes it is a great leveller. The kings and counsellors of the earth who built ruins for themselves, or with princes who had gold, who filled their houses with silver, they have all these possessions, but in death they leave it all behind. As it said in chapter 1, we brought nothing into the world, and we take nothing out of the world. Naked we came, naked we leave. And so those great men in death are just like the stillborn child, the child who was born dead. That child is still a person, but that child has avoided all the pain and suffering that this life brings, and you can't escape it. The wicked cease from troubling, and the weary are at rest. The prisoners rest together. They do not hear the voice of the oppressor. So the prisoners here are seen as the righteous ones who have been oppressed by the wicked. It's not that they're evil people, but they have been oppressed by the evil people. But now, in death, they are set free. Death would be a release. The small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master. There are relationships that exist on earth with a hierarchical structure. So we have princes and rulers, we have masters and servants. But in death, we are all equal. We all stand equally before God. More questions. Why is light given to him who is in misery, and life to the bitter of soul? Why is light given to a man whose way is hidden, whom God has hedged in? For sighing comes before I eat, and my groanings pour out like water. For the thing I greatly feared has come upon me, and what I dreaded has happened to me. We all have fears of things that might happen to us. Fear is Satan's tool to stop us doing that which is good, to discourage us. Job's fear was that he would offend God, and that God would become his enemy. Disaster has come upon him, no matter how hard he had tried to do that which is right. So I am not at ease, nor am I quiet. I have no rest, for trouble comes.